get light with me today, and you'll meet him in a second, but I think we need to stand up, though. Let's stand up. We gotta stretch out a little bit. Stand up, y'all. I know y'all tired. That's all right. Stand up, stretch out a little bit, stretch out a little bit. Y'all all right, y'all all right. All right, now y'all stand up. I see y'all, bro. Don't be like that. Stand up. I'm looking at you. Yeah, come on, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up. That's all right. Y'all stand up one time, please. Y'all stand up one time. I see y'all. I know you're tired. I know you're tired. That's all right. I need everybody to put their hands in the air like this. Hands in the air like this. Everybody from the back, hands in the air like this. Here we go, time. Put your everybody put it over there. Here we go now. Time for a show. Shine to do. Come on, bro. You black. Look at somebody. Put it in there. That's all right. Y'all can be seated. That's all right. Y'all can be seated. Y'all make some noise for your principal, please. Y'all make some noise for your principal one time. Make some noise.
And thank you, DJ Cole, for getting this set up for today. Okay, quick introduction. I'm going to introduce our presenter today is an award-winning hip-hop artist who's landed multiple songs on the Billboard Top 30 radio charts. His music video, Haters, won Video of 2016 in the We Love Music Awards and has multiple albums that have reached the top 50 hip-hop albums on iTunes. Right now, get on your feet. Let's give a big round of applause. Hey, Hemlock, welcome to Beacon.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? So I have to ask you in person, do you announce basketball games too? Do you announce basketball? You wish? Okay, because it definitely had the vibe. You were like, starting at point guard, your speaker for today. He weighs in at 210, but he used to be 195 in high school, and he's gaining up to 220 because he's getting a dad bod. You know why? Because he has two little girls at home. What's your name, curly-haired boy? Drew. Drew, nice to meet you, brother. I like the vibes. You got the Chicago Bulls, little throwback with the mix-up with the new colors. I like that. It's like the old school and the new school. That was my favorite team, actually, when I was a kid back in the 90s. I was a kid back in the 90s. So, I know that. What year were you guys born in? Like 2006 or something? 2002? Alright, cool. Well, hey, I'm gonna hang out with you today. Believe it or not, I rap. And you're like, yo, rap, man, you look like my uncle. Well, listen, I actually do a little bit, and I know that our culture is judgmental, so I'm gonna let you judge me for a second. I'm gonna do a song, and you can tell me if you like it. If you don't, that's fine. I get comments like that all the time. Let's go. Yeah.
They flow so basic. They got me bored, but I've been skating. I ride that time right by. I win it. My flow so solar, call it Cajun. It's blazing. All they flow so basic. They got me bored, but I've been skating. I ride that time right by. I win it. My flow so solar, call it Cajun. It's blazing. All they flow so basic.
You got a basic flow. I ain't talking cadence, you ain't the slow. Your mind is all trapped and it's wrapped in an item of crap that don't matter, your patterns are slow. Your pen is protected and speaking it right. Your pen in your sentence is broken inside. Look at the stress, you were using it right. Your lyrics looking up like what did you write? You should say that we make for predators and more than just rhyming a couple letters. Shit, you act like you find what you in the trenches. You need to debug it and tell me you better. I'll make you better, yeah, you need it, you know it. You getting taller, but you know you're not wrong. Your pen is broken in the way that you fall. You better dead it and you're ready to fall, yeah. You got that basic disease. All you I think they falling asleep. But you definitely slumber. Pencil lead like empty mom. The spit that you My songs are better. Do you write it all? You rap it all? You used to. Are there any rappers here? With the jacket? The rapper? All right, bro. A little bit. That's all right. Don't be afraid to do it. Look, there's no battles happening on this, so don't worry about it. I'm not gonna do any of that. But you know, when I was in high school, I actually didn't take myself very seriously as a rapper because how I started was, you know, I always liked hip hop music, and me and my friends, we put on these instrumentals and start freestyling. You guys know what freestyling is, right? Now I'm talking about actually freestyling, like making it up, because there's like a style called freestyle rap where it basically is like someone will write, but it doesn't necessarily have a topic or a pattern, it's just them showing off. There's that style of freestyle, but then there's like off the top freestyle, which means off the top of your mind, you're coming up with stuff as you're going. So I actually got involved with it because my friends and I just rapped, and I happened to be okay at it. But I never took myself seriously because, like, at the time, when I was in high school, like every rapper had to have like street cred or whatever. And now hip hop has evolved a lot, where there's a lot of new artists that like came from like nice homes with 2 parents and all that good stuff, but they just like to make music. But that's not how it used to be. So I always felt like I couldn't do it. But where I fell in love with making hip hop was not just freestyling with my friends, it was actually in the car. Does anyone like to listen to music in the car? Anybody? Okay, so I want to do a song that's kind of like my anthem, but I need you guys to sing with me, okay? I know, you're like, come on, bro. Listen, hip hop is a call and respond genre, which means when we call, you gotta respond, okay? So this song is called Catch My Vibe. Can you just say, Catch My Vibe? Alright, so listen, the chorus goes like this. Sometimes I just turn my music loud. I roll through your town with my windows down. I got all that good and they feel it now. The whole world, they know why. And then you say, catch my vibe. They know why. Come on, a little loud. Catch my vibe. They know why. Catch my vibe. They know why. Yeah, yeah. And sometimes I just turn my music loud. I roll through town with my windows down. I got all that good and it's good now. The whole world, they know why. Yeah, yeah. Catch my vibe. They know why. Catch my vibe. Oh, they know why. Catch my vibe. Oh, they know why. Catch my vibe. Oh, they know why. Yeah, yeah. Cool breeze with a summer flow. It's hot outside, but I'm 40 below. I'm from the fresh coast with a bread flow. Got that powder sugar on my fresh toast. And the motorcycle got me so fly. Shout out to Adios. I got the windows down so they can catch my vibe. Catch my vibe, yeah. Pulling out, put the track on ice. Riding through your hood and they know why. Oh, we gon' shine it light up. We gon' shine it light up. Yeah, yeah. Better look rapper, I'm going never make slow snow until they had it snapping half. See the sun and they know they need them on my job tray with an aftermath. Got a cool flow and cool breeze back in the pocket like I move trees. Those green as a facility that I go and fight and beats. They got their bouncing. But my windows pounding. Turn my music loud, spin. Then I love the sound. Louder, shouting. Know what we about. Get it, catch down all the doubt. Let me speak the truth. I'm on fire. Sometimes I just turn my music loud. I roll through, feel like with my windows down. Oh, I got all that good and you feel it now. The whole world, they know why. I catch my vibe. They know why. I catch my vibe. Oh, they know why. I catch my vibe. They know why. I catch my vibe. Oh, they know why. Everybody say yeah, yeah, yeah. Say oh, oh, oh. Say la, la, la. Say yeah, 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 yeah. I catch my vibe. Oh, they know why. 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 Yeah, yeah.
Y'all doing all right? Y'all good so far? You keep going?
Play Freebird.
Real talk though, y'all are beautiful people out there. So make some noise for yourselves, man.
trees to get out here. You know what I'm saying? We're from Grand Rapids. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. DJ Coach from Grand Rapids. And we drove through a lot of country. And if I'm gonna be real, I also see some people dressed like real trees out there. You know who you are?
That's true, I see them out there.
Yeah. You know you exist. So I know you're probably sitting here like, oh my goodness, they brought a rapper in here. I'm trying to hear me some country music.
That's right.
Is my music better than country? You don't want me to be like, well, I love her.
You better sing that.
And I love to fish.
That's right, come on, keep it.
Spend all day out on this lake, and it was all I catch. No, I'm not gonna do that. We're not doing that. I'm saving that for Nashville karaoke only. That's in a karaoke bag. Does anyone have a karaoke? You like karaoke? Nobody? Nobody? You guys don't have a karaoke bar? Is anyone just like, since you don't have one, your dad made one at your house? Don't lie. Yeah, you exist. I'll feel you. Oh, you got the real tree on too. Look at you. You be hiding out in the bushes doing karaoke? I'm just playing. We're not gonna do any more country music, but I will let all the country people get something out of their system for just a second. This is for all your grandmas. Go ahead. You guys have a good day at school so far? No?
Allegedly.
Are you happy to be out of class, or do you want to go back to class? You want to go back?
Yeah.
You do, bro? You do? You do? You go sit in that classroom all by yourself. Start doing your homework. I'm just messing with you, dude. I'm just messing with you. Today, though, we are going to talk about hip-hop. Say hip-hop.
Hip-hop.
Say hip-hop. I said a hip-hop, a hippie to the hip-hop, and you don't stop, a rocket to the... Oh, yeah, this comes over your heads. Has anyone ever listened to that song? Do you even know what that song is? It's this really, really old song, came out in the 70s. It's the first hip-hop song ever went on the radio. It's called Rapper's Delight, and it's like a 13-minute long song. It's crazy. It's just like... we are going to talk about hip-hop. Say hip-hop.
Hip-hop.
Hip-hop. Now look, I know we went to school, and I know you want to go back to class, so I know you want to do a quiz. So, we're going to do a little quiz. Alright? This is from my man who wants to go back to class. Let's have a quiz. So, who thinks they know by show of hands what decade of the 1900s hip-hop started in? Anybody? What's up? 1902? I said decade, that was very specific. What you're saying was zeros. The zeros to the tens of the 1900s. You're gonna guess the zeros. That's not correct. Not the 50s. That was when they were still like, lollipop, 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 and everything was like freaking happy white people sandwiches with mayonnaise all over it. So, you know white people love mayonnaise, right? Yeah. What's up? What? The 70s, my man in the Bulls outfit got it. The 70s, 1970s, correct. Who thinks they know what state in the United States it started in? Anybody?
New York.
What?
New York.
New York! That is correct, right on the money. Make some noise for my girl over here. New York. Specifically in New York, says in the Bronx. Say the Bronx. Oh, that was weak. Say the Bronx.
The Bronx.
I say hot dog.
Hot dog.
So in the South Bronx, in the 1970s, are you okay? You good? Okay. In the 1970s, in the South Bronx, hip-hop began. Now listen, hip-hop is technically not a music genre. Technically, listen up. Technically, rap music is the music genre of the hip-hop culture. See, hip-hop is more of a culture. Say culture. Culture. Cool. So listen, The hip-hop culture started in the South Bronx in the 1970s, and it was very unique to that area. In fact, nobody else was doing this type of stuff. Now, let me paint a picture for you real quick. In the South Bronx in the 1970s, it was a very poor area. There's a lot of abandoned buildings, a lot of broken glass. In fact, I think it was 1973, there was a phrase that said the Bronx is on fire because they had so many fires that year that their firemen in that area could not put them all out. So I need you to just imagine some buildings just burning until it goes all the way to the ground. Like that's how it was, okay? And I have never, ever met a mother who would wish for her child to walk around on broken glass. Everyone would love to at least have the choice to be able to take their shoes off without having to step on broken glass, but all these people were born into the situation they couldn't control, just like you, just like me. None of us got to pick who our birth parents are. None of us got to pick what time period we were born in. None of us got to pick that, and the people in the South Bronx didn't either. Okay? So they're all born into the situation that undoubtedly, listen up, undoubtedly the cards were stacked against them. Undoubtedly, they had less money than a lot of people did. They grew up in an area that was kind of driven by maybe fast or whatever, and they just had to make do with what they were given, right? And how the hip-hop culture actually started was with graffiti. You guys ever seen graffiti art? Graffiti art? Now this is not just like, gangs writing tags on walls or anything like that. This is actual art. Are there any people in here who can draw? Any artists, people that can draw? All right, of the people who can draw, has anyone ever ruined a drawing when they try to color it or paint it? Anybody? Okay. Color is a different beast. You could be great at drawing, but as soon as you start blending in colors, you could really ruin something if you don't do it right. So these artists in the South Bronx with their graffiti cans, they started doing these really cool murals, letters, pictures, all this other stuff, and they would draw really good lines, lay down a base color, blend in different colors, and create this art piece. And they took these abandoned buildings, these broken down buildings, these burned down buildings, and they turned them into murals, where they would then express themselves in it. That was the first element in hip-hop culture that came in. And then, of course, there was music going on at the time. In the 1970s, there was like discos and disco music going on, and these DJs would roll up and DJ parties. Say, go DJ! Say, go, DJ! Now listen, they didn't have tables, like my good friend DJ Code here. They didn't have electronic tables, because it takes some amazing skill to do what he does. But there's also some convenience in the time we live in, where we can just download music, download sounds, put them on there. What they had is they had these turntables that would play physical records, right? You guys know what a vinyl record is. And the DJs, if they wanted to DJ a party, they would card in their turntables, but they'd also card in a whole cart of records. And in order to be unique, they had to pick out certain songs from the store. Then they'd go to the store and get all these records, right? And they would play a hit song, boom, 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 everyone's having fun, yeah, this is fun, and the song would end, and they slowly faded over to the other song, and then they mix in the new song, and everyone had fun. But remember, some of these songs are like 6 minutes long. This is the 70s, right? So they're playing this song, they're fading it over, they're doing all this stuff. But the DJs in the hip-hop culture, they started to do something different. See, on these disco songs, there was this part called the breakbeat, where there'd be a breakdown of the song where you'd hear some drums on there, and it'd be like, or whatever, something like that, right? And they were like, some people were like, that's my favorite part to dance to, I wish it would go longer. Well, this DJ, his name was DJ Kool Herc, in 1973, he started having these parties where he'd only play the breakbeats of the song. So he'd fast forward through the record and find the spot, play the breakbeat, but then he'd switch over to another song, it might be a different breakbeat, and it kind of was jumbled up and a little messy, but it was like, oh, that's cool, you're still playing the best parts. People would dance to that and stuff. But then there was another DJ named Grandmaster Flash who really perfected this turntablism, right? So what he did is he found out if I could buy the same song record right here and the same song record on here, so the exact same record on both turntables, and I'll mark where the drum loop was starting to stop, and I'll play them at the same speed, I can make the loop go on forever. Right? So the party kept on going, he perfected this technique that took a lot of time, But he basically made this seamless drum loop of never-ending drums that then inspired break dancers to come in and do different dances. So we have graffiti with DJs and then the break dancers. And the break dancers, they're dancing, they're having fun, they're spinning on their heads. Now they got their favorite part of the music to listen to, so they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff, having battles. I want to teach you guys something super basic. Everyone just stick out your right arm like this. Go ahead. Right arm. We're going to do this thing called isolation. One of my little dancer friends told me. We're going to move one body part at a time. Everybody drop their fingers down like this. Wrist. Now you're going to put like your hand flat like it's on the table and your elbow up like this. That was kind of weird. Pop your, now you're going to straighten your arm, put your shoulder out, and then pop your chest. You just isolated. That sounds like somebody farted. Somebody isolated. I was in the library and somebody, that's like a quiet one, one of those nasty ones, you know? Like somebody isolated over here. Listen, so, all together it looks something kind of like this. Go ahead. I can't do it all like a real dancer friend. But when you actually pop your body, it looks more realistic than your mom in the kitchen who's like, you know, or whatever she's doing. So that isolation, that allows you to also, like if a hi-hat's going like, you can move it all at once, right? So, or to the separate parts. So the dancers are going, we have graffiti, DJs, dancers, and then came the MC. Say MC. And the MC would just basically, you know, the DJ, he's busy, he's trying to keep the loop going, he's trying to keep the party going, so the MC would just grab the microphone and be like, when I say hey, you say, oh, hey. Oh. Hey. Oh. You guys are always better the second yell, that's pretty awesome. So, maybe it just takes that extra confidence in the second time. When I say hey, you say oh, hey, oh, hey. Oh. And then he got bored of that and he started like, you know, rapping about the Chicago Bulls if he saw it on someone's shirt or like how someone's week was. And then they started freestyling and it started off super simple and basic, like a children's rhyme, like, I went to the store and I saw a cat. On my head, I have a hat. Yeah. And they'd be like, oh, those bars are fire, bro. This dude's crazy. And then as hip-hop kept on evolving, people started switching the rhymes up, making them more complex, telling stories about their communities, about all this other stuff. And of course, hip-hop got commercialized a little bit, and then you see some content that's not always great all the time. But I am here to tell you that there are some awesome artists out there who make great music that's not just ratchet all the time. So, just letting you guys know that that exists. But listen. The power of that story to me, because you might be sitting here and you're like, okay, well, I didn't know we're getting music history during this assembly, but you know, whatever. The power of that story is this. Remember what we said earlier, none of us, none of you, not him, not me, not them, nobody, got to pick where they started in life. Nobody got to pick their parents. Nobody got to pick their income bracket. Nobody got to pick their skin color. Nobody got to pick their hair color. Nobody got to pick that. Right? And all these people, listen up, all these people in the South Bronx are in the same position. And they started in a spot that wasn't great. And you might be sitting here today and you're like, bro, I feel the same way. I started in a spot that wasn't that great. Or maybe you did start in an okay spot, but now you're in a spot that's not that great. Maybe you don't like it here at school, and it's not just because you don't like school, maybe it's the way that you're treated when you're at school by your friends. Maybe you don't like when the holidays come around because your family's broken and messed up, and it looks like everyone's having all these family Christmases on Instagram, and they're all great, and yours is all jacked up. Or maybe you don't get the same type of gifts or new school shoes. You know the new school shoe thing? When you show up, I know some of y'all showed up this year with some shoes that you weren't that proud of. Right? It's a thing. I understand. When I was in high school, you know what they had? They had these Adidas striped ones, the 3-stripe joints, right? And I don't know, has anyone ever seen the 4-stripe joints? They used to have 4 stripes. You could only get them in Payless. My mom tried to get it for me one time. I'm like, no, Mom. I would rather wear some broke down Nikes than those 4 stripes because people will clown me all the time. Look, I understand that there's some people who feel a certain type of way based off what they have, what they don't have. And to me, the power of the hip hop story is that all of these people who were for sure in a situation that wasn't great. You just imagine like just your neighborhood just burning. Yo, listen up. Just imagine your neighborhood just on fire. There's not enough resources to put it out. And that's where you're supposed to be like, yo, yeah, be positive, bro, get by, make something of yourself. And you're like, how? How am I supposed to do that? But what's powerful to me about the story of hip hop is that some of these people, they took cans of spray paint. And if you've ever, any artist in here, you know that part of you goes on that canvas when you draw. Your imagination, the things you think about, takes you to a different place. You can express yourself. Art is expression. And these people who are in this tough situation were able to express themselves and turn these buildings that could have been monuments of poverty, and they turned them into murals. And if you look at the letters of graffiti, sometimes they're edgy, rough, hard to understand. And a lot of art, if you really look at it, kind of reflects the artist, reflects the area, reflects roughness. But a lot of their colors that they use in graffiti are very bright. Bright colors oftentimes convey hope and joy and happiness, right? In the midst of all this messed up stuff, there's hope. In the midst of all this stuff, we're going to get through this, right? And then the parties were opportunities where the DJ would play music and the dancers would dance and the MC would rap to just say, hey, all this stuff out here is messed up, but we're just going to take a second, take our mind off that, and have fun. And it's crazy to me because when the DJs were DJing, he was just in his mode trying to figure out how to make these loops line up, and then he somehow accidentally created a whole new genre of music, and now everybody in this room is hurting. That's crazy. What that says to me is that no matter where you're from, no matter what you look like, no matter if the cards are stacked against you or not, just by expressing yourself, you can A, take your mind off of what's going on, and B, actually do something powerful that impacts other people. Because none of these people in the 70s had social media. They didn't even have the dial-up old school internet. It was like, whatever. They just had phones attached to cords. That's it. Some letters they could mail to their mom or something. Didn't have any of that. And yet what they did in their community was so unique that people started being like, oh, what's going on in New York? What's going on in New York? And it spread everywhere. So no matter where you're from, no matter what cards are stacked against you or not, you guys have that same opportunity. And it might not be with music, it might be with engineering, it might be with math, it might be with something else, it might be with a restaurant. Is there ever, you guys got a favorite restaurant around? Anybody? Just that they love to go to, right? What? McDonald's? What? Is that all you guys have here? You're like, hey, so I go to some sometimes, they're like, hey, pizza at the gas station is hitting, bro. That gas station pizza. That's how you know you're in a town with nothing, is they're like, yo, the gas station pizza, freaking crazy, bro. When the game's on, my dad comes back with that gas station pizza, and this game's on. But look, good food at a restaurant, it attracts you because of the quality. So, whether you got stuff around you going on in your life or not, you can make something great, something quality, something so awesome that it attracts everybody else. I'm like, yo, he got the best gas station pizza, we going there. But I want to go a little bit deeper with you guys because I know that that's still kind of like, okay, you know, I get it. Be positive, find a way, you know, make something of yourself, all this stuff. But before we do that, I kind of want to tell you a little bit about my own story. But before I fully go to that moment of my own life, I want to take a quick poll. So does anybody here like to take pictures? Like they'd like to compose them? It could be like scenery or with your friends or whatever. Nobody? Nobody? Okay. All right, there's a couple. Who here likes to be in pictures with your friends? Like you're just trying to capture a moment and be like, this is a great memory. Snapchat filters. Oh look, this one cleared my skin completely. All those forehead high school pimples are gone with this Snapchat filter. That's filtered. Who does not like taking pictures at all? They do not care. All right, I feel you. Hey, he even has the I don't like to take pictures face. He was like, I do not, and I don't mean that you won't look good in a picture. I meant that your enthusiasm was not up on your face. I don't want it to be interpreted that the wrong way. It's like, you get the Facebook video. Nah, so, when I was a kid, by the way, that's my Instagram if anyone wants to hit me up. When I was a kid, I used to love to be in pictures with my friends. Like, we would just like make goofy faces, all that good stuff, right? But there was one picture I did not want to be in. You guys know what it was? School picture. Who here's not a fan of school picture day? Anybody? Okay. We gotta find out why a little bit. Anyone want to share a reason why they don't like school picture day? What's up? Awkward angles? Like you sitting there and they're like, all right, I'll sit like this. I'll tilt your head and you're like, turn your head to the side. I can't even smile comfortably like this. Anybody else? Share something, what's up? Blinded? Oh man, the flash, it gets you. You're being there squinting the whole time. So, they won't let you do what you want. Like if you're trying to hold your Xbox controller because you play it all the time, you're like, they're not trying to let you do that. What's up? Oh, you gotta get up an hour early to get ready because moms care about how that picture turns out, right? You know why? It's because some of you guys came home in kindergarten with that picture where you couldn't smile yet. You guys know what I'm talking about? You hand it to her, you're like this. Mom, show my teeth. How do you smile? Has anyone ever had to wear an uncomfortable outfit? School picture day? They put you in a turtleneck? Turtleneck with a bow tie under the turtleneck. You're like, what the heck? I didn't even know that was a thing. So, I was pretty good though. I was pretty good at school picture day even when I was young. Like I remember like first, second grade, like school pictures were pretty easy. Just go in there, you know, take a genuine smile. And it can be awkward because, you know, you got that single file line of people looking at you while you're taking a picture. And we all know that like when you get a good picture, what do you do usually to get a good smile? Laugh a little bit, you know, like so when you're with your friends, that's easy. You just like someone cracks a joke, you know, smile, you're like, oh, it looks so good, so happy. But when you're in a single file line in the chair like my man here and like trying to smile, like with their head tilted while they're looking at you, it's weird. And then you get people making fun of you and you're like, this is the worst picture ever. So in third grade though, even though I was good at, you know, school picture day and figured out how to crack the fake smile code, just quick get it done, my third grade school picture, I actually faked sick. Because I don't want to go. And I know that seems extra, and it might have been, but there's something a little deeper that was going on there that no one knew about. See, I faked sick that day, and I think that when we do that, I think our parents really know when we're sick. Like they take care of you when you're a kid, and you have a fever, you're throwing up, and then you're like laying there just because you stayed up like way too late playing Modern Warfare, and you're like, I can't go. And then they like just don't want to deal with it or whatever. I actually asked someone the other day what she does when her kids do that. She was working at a school and she's like, sometimes I like have the battle, but sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'm late for work. I'm not really trying to fight about it. It's your future, you know. I guess if you're skipping, you're skipping. And she works at a school, which is hilarious. But I faked sick and you know I was laying there probably doing the whatever I was doing. And my dad, he was home with me that day, and I think he knew, so he's like, look, dude, I don't know why you don't want to take this picture, but I'll do you a favor, okay? I'll bring you up there after your classmates are gone, and it would just be me, you, and the photographer. And I was like, all right, Dad, cool. And he, you know, had my hair looking crazy and not very combed, and put this like white button-up shirt on me, like the dress shirt, the one with the stiff neck that's got the cardboard in it. You probably forgot to take the cardboard off. I was just sitting there with this cardboard neck shirt. Just me, my dad, and the photographer, like not really even smiling, took this picture, okay? So from second grade, which was like happy, smiley, genuine smile picture, to third grade, it was a big difference. And what my dad didn't know, and what the photographer didn't know, my mom didn't know, and nobody knew, was that earlier that summer, we had some family members when they were staying with us. I was sexually abused on and off throughout the summer. Now I know that just got deep real quick. But I shared that to let you guys know those details. I didn't always used to say that when I would travel, I'd just say abuse. But I say that because I know by statistics alone that there are people in this room that have been through the same thing. And it's not funny, and it's not cool. And I went from being a kid who was happy to be in the picture to being ashamed of who I was, so much so that I didn't want to be in the picture. So much so that I didn't want a permanent image of me taken. That I definitely didn't want to do that in front of all my friends, because somehow my perception of me changed enough that it was like, I just couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. And on and off, I would see this family member and this abuse situation would happen until about middle school is when it stopped. And I just, eventually, by fourth grade, by that school picture, I had figured out how to do the fake smile and just do whatever, right? But I never told my parents because I believed a lie that day. I believed a lie as a young kid that says, the person who did it, they were like, don't tell anyone or we'll get in trouble. And I remember my mom in first grade literally saying the words, if anything like this happens, you won't get in trouble, you just tell me, right? But for whatever reason, when that abuse situation happened, I just believed a lie, and I didn't tell. And I think part of us in our humanity, we do like to make things nice and happy and pretend like everything's okay. And some of us have these defense mechanisms where we're like, toughen up. I know a lot of grown-ups who are like, toughen up, life is hard, yada, 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 all this other stuff. And in some situations, that's applicable. In some situations, like, you just have to. You have to get tough and you gotta do what you gotta do. But in some situations, it actually is detrimental because you're holding in something that you weren't built for, something that you weren't meant to hold in like that. And I kept on pushing this thing away, like, it's fine, everything's cool. And some days were really hard, and other days were honestly just fine. It's like I forgot about it, didn't think about it, and everything was cool. But I remember in high school, I went to a new high school my freshman year, and I had never been in that district before, so I had like no new friends, whatever. And I was I was 6'1", and I'm coordinated, and I don't know if there's any tall people in this room that can relate, but it's like, you're walking around, you're like, can't control your body. I remember actually wanting to be shorter, because all I knew was all my short friends, they could control their bodies better than me. So I'm like, I just wish I was shorter. I just like put my head down or whatever. And I made the basketball team that year probably just because I was tall. And this is kind of just a side note, but eventually I was able to control my body and I got good at basketball and I became a starter in all conference and all this other stuff. But what's weird about that situation is that I didn't have very many friends when I was not good at basketball, and then when I got good, all of a sudden I had all these friends. Probably not real friends, right? And I say that because it's unfortunate that that's how we treat people a lot of times. If our community values something or whatever, or the world out there values something, we value people who are good at that type of stuff. But I was the same kid my freshman year as my sophomore and junior year. So don't treat people based on what they can do. That's not cool. Treat people based on who they are. But I remember my sophomore year, to go back to the abuse situation, I was at, we had all just got our licenses, we were feeling like big boys. I was driving like my grandma's station wagon or something, like feeling like a boss, like driving the station wagon. I don't even care because I'm free. And me and my friends, we went to the mall, and we were just kind of roasting each other like friends do, just, having fun. And somebody said something, they were just joking, but they said something that had to do with this kind of like abuse. It was like a weird joke that somehow applied to me, but they didn't have any idea what I had been through. And as soon as they said it, it just triggered up like massive amounts of emotion for me. And I just like started to cry and I walked away. And I'm sure they were like, what the heck is wrong with Brandon? That's my real name, is Brandon. Like, what's wrong with Brandon? Like, why is he, what's going on? And it was a moment for me that I started to realize, like, hey, I think there's something deeper here that I probably should face that I don't really want to face. But you know what I did? Push it to the side, toughen up, act like everything's fine. And has anyone ever had a dream that they're falling? Anybody ever had a dream like that? Those dreams can be, you know, cool, but most of the time they're scary, because usually at the bottom of a fall is not a good result. It's sometimes, the worst case, death, right? And how I could explain some of my high school was looking like I had it together, acting like I had it together, but not really feeling like that. And in addition to the abuse, there was a lot of family stuff that was going on at home. My parents were fighting, eventually got divorced. And I grew up in a house, I don't know what your house is like, but it was so full, my fridge was so full of alcohol that I could just take some, and they would never know what was going on. And what I didn't realize was that at a young age, I was just kind of like teaching myself to rely on this substance. When time gets hard, that's what you do. When life is hard, that's what you do. When you want to have fun, that's what you do. So then you don't even know how to think and react for yourself or be encouraged by other people because you're relying on this drug, this substance, to do it for you. And even though I acted like I was fine and acted like I was cool on the inside, I felt like I was falling. So this next song I'm going to do, Jared was listening to my cues, talking about falling. It's called Falling.
Higher in the stars, fly around the earth, never coming down, never going late.
No, I can't keep on falling. No, I can't keep on falling anymore.
Dirk, shut up.
And I'm going to be honest for a second. Do you guys have a lot of assemblies or no? How many do you have a year? Like one? Maybe two? This is it, you said? And for homecoming. Can I be honest with you? If I was in high school right now, and a dude walked into my school and did songs, I would have a really hard time giving an F about him. I'm serious. I would have a hard time caring. Because for one, bro, I don't know who you are. They said you won awards. I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know who you are, because I listened to whoever I listened to, top 5 artists at the time, right? And it would take me a really long time to really care about what he is saying, if I ever did. And if I'm honest with you, I probably would have just been laughing about stuff with my friends. And I probably, well, I would say it's a 50-50 coin flop on me getting removed from the assembly. For real, that's where I was at. That's where I was at in high school. Because when stuff is going on in your life, it is really, really difficult to actually face it. It is really, really difficult to actually be like, dang, I'm messed up. And I don't know if you guys know this, but do you know that laughter is actually a response to nervousness? Do you know that when stand-up comedians speak, they intentionally push the line on issues that no one will talk about, because the only response is going to be to laugh or to get like super angry, because it'd be mad awkward to be at a stand-up comedy thing and be like, and cry about something, right? And for me, my defense mechanism was always this: laugh. Laugh it off. Make jokes. And no one knew, except for the person who molested me when I was a 3rd grader. No one knew what happened to me. But I walked around laughing and acting like I was fine, and I wasn't. And there are people under the sound of my voice who are doing the same thing. And I want you to know that you are loved and cared for even though you don't respond appropriately. You are loved and cared for even though you feel ashamed. You are loved and cared for even though you feel hopeless. You are loved and cared for even though you're angry. You are loved and cared for even though you try to act like you got it all together and try to put on the clothes that are popular at the current time, and you're not. You're not okay, but you're acting like it, but you're still loved and cared for by somebody. I wish that I could go back and tell my mom when that happened. I wish I could go back and talk to my dad and say, Daddy, the real reason that I'm faking sick is this. Because I'm betting it would have stopped. And I'm betting I wouldn't have held in all that pain. And I'm betting I wouldn't have had to try to tough it out and fight my way out. If you're sitting here today and you got a story like mine, talk to somebody about it. Tell your parents, tell a counselor. I've talked to kids who have literally been raped by their parents. That's someone's story. That is someone's story. What do you do in that situation? Who do you tell? If you can't trust your parents, who can you trust? sometimes we hold it in, we try to tough it out, and we try to get through it. If you're going through something, it doesn't have to be abuse related. It doesn't have to be bullying related. It doesn't have to be whatever. Just talk to somebody about your struggle. Admit that you have one. Admit your struggle. Because even the toughest and the strongest person in here, you might be tough like that because your dad hits you. Maybe not. Maybe just like protein and like to lift. I don't know. But there's people who do that get strong because they get hit and they don't want to get hit anymore. Talk to somebody about your issues. You good, bro? Laughter is a response to nervousness. Talk to somebody. Now listen, the fastest way I can explain what happened to me is when I was 19, I had a life-changing experience and I felt like I had to approach the person who abused me when I was a kid. They were living in my city at the time and I called them up and I said, look, we gotta meet. They had no idea what we were meeting about. And I'm gonna be honest, no part of me wanted to handle it in any way that was positive. Because in addition to that sadness and that shame, there was a lot of anger that came with that. A lot of frustration, a lot of questions, and they had no idea why they were coming over to my house. They walked to my door, and I just laid it out there, and I said, look, you did this to me. And as soon as I even mentioned it, tears started coming down their face, and they said those words that we've all said before. They said, I'm sorry. Now look, I know all of us have given a fake I'm sorry before. Apologize to your brother or else, or apologize to your sister or else, and you're like, I'm sorry. I can tell you that this was not that. It was a really real I'm sorry. It was a real, heartfelt, broken, sorrowful, regretful, emotive state this person was in when they said the words I'm sorry. But I still had a choice. I still could have said, nope, I don't forgive you. I don't care, and I hope it hurts. I could have hit him. I could have done a million other things. And even though some of those things were tempting for me to want to do, what I felt like I had to do was choose to say the most difficult words I ever said in my life. And I looked at that person and I said, I forgive you. Even though I did not feel it all the way. I chose to say those words. But I can tell you that that choice changed my life in a positive way. Because not only did it begin to get me to talk about it or set me free about it or whatever, but it actually made them cry more. And they said something to me. And they said, when I was a kid, somebody did that to me. In fact, multiple people did throughout my childhood, and I'm so sorry that I did that to you. And I'm not saying that that's exactly how you have to handle your situation. Because I've met people who are in unsafe situations that need to go straight to the cops and tell them. All I know is I was grown, this person was grown, and I felt like my choice was I had to forgive them and be like, yo, you're sad enough as it is, because their life was messed up. When I picked them up to come over to my house, they were in a trap house selling drugs. That's what my family was doing, okay? That's what this person was doing. They were selling drugs at the time. Your life is messed up enough. You got enough stuff going on. I'm not about to report this thing that happened when I was a kid. But in this situation, for this applicable time, I would choose to say these words. And when I said those words, I found out a whole bunch of stuff. And that does not make what they did okay to me at all. But it did give me a little bit of empathy for them. Realizing like, man, they're really messed up. And they're really broken. And sometimes, hate, abuse, addiction, it's just a cycle that's happening in our lives, in our families. Do you know that abuse is actually most common by somebody you know closely? Addiction Like I said, I used to open up that fridge. My parents never knew that the alcohol was gone. And I was just teaching my mind, when life gets hard, you turn to this. But I had to break that cycle too. Listen, there's some of you guys who are sitting here and cards are stacked against you. There's stuff in your life that's happened to you that's super unfair and it's not cool. And you're just trying to get by and you're trying to laugh it off and you're trying to do whatever you can. Stay positive. You're trying to draw graffiti on the wall. That's a metaphor. You're trying to do all this stuff to get through it. And it helps a little bit. But for the most part, it's not really helping. Talk to somebody about it. Be man enough, be woman enough to go to somebody and just admit your feelings and say, look, I'm struggling for real. Listen, if you guys have friends in this room, and I know you guys say you have friends in this room, but if you have real friends in this room, your friend should be somebody that you can tell stuff to and not laugh at you and not clown you. If that person in your mind that you think is your best friend is not somebody that you can talk to about some of your problems, then they're not really your best friend. They're not. They're just people like that you play basketball with that now value you because you can dunk on somebody. If you can't be like, yo, look, bro, this is my situation. If you guys can't talk like that, you're not really as cool as you thought. I don't say that to depress you. I say that to wake you up a little bit. Okay? Now to bring it back to positive land. Those choices that I made, they impacted my life for the better. Because look, I travel around, I get to get paid to talk to you guys. I get to do that. I get to do that. I don't like make $1 million or whatever from doing it, but I get to come and share with you and hang out with you. I've been able for the last 10 years to tour and do events and concerts and music and make music videos that win awards. By the way, award shows are mostly staged and they're awkward and sometimes there's just a few rows of people and they try to shoot it in the camera to make it look really cool and everyone's on TV like, yeah, you won an award. I'm like, yeah, there were like 2 people here. Because everything in marketing is just, it's a whole facade to make you think it's awesome. But anyways, that's a side point. The thing is, I've been able to do great stuff. If you look at my Instagram, UFC just used a song that I wrote for something. This is in this big trailer or whatever. And we have something else that's going on. I've had other major trailers land. I get to just go into a studio in Nashville and create music with somebody and get paid to do it. I just get paid to. But I can honestly tell you and share with you right now that if I didn't make that decision to talk to that friend, or that really friend, but family member, and choose to say those words and run head on into my problem, I can honestly say I would not be where I am right now. I probably would be holding in some bitterness. Because I even though I didn't feel like forgiving them at the time, it's over. I forgive them, 100%. And it was a process, because there were times throughout my life when I'd think about it and I'd get super angry and I'd just be like, yo, I'm done with it, forgive them. I had to leave it there. But now I can talk about it without tearing up, without crying, because I truly have been healed from that. But it started with those words. So whatever's going on in your life, doesn't have to be the same thing as me. It could be something completely different. Attack it. Be vulnerable. Talk to somebody. Talk to a counselor. It's okay to see a counselor. We're all sick. We're all messed up. Everyone has something. Everyone has one traumatic moment. Maybe a coach said something to you. Maybe you got cut from a team. Maybe your dad said you weren't as smart, or just automatically said, oh yeah, we're just this type of people. This is what we do. Or maybe you're the kid that opens up your fridge. There's alcohol for you. Or maybe you were called a bad name because of the way you look. Every single one of us is messed up. And we're all also awesome and unique. And every single one of you, you have a gift that you might not even know about. When I was in high school, I stopped doing art because my friends didn't think it was cool. And I just kind of, I didn't, like no one said like, stop drawing, that's not cool. I stopped drawing. I just kind of felt like this pressure of, oh, like, I guess to be accepted in this school, I have to get good at this thing, and it's not art, so I'm gonna let that thing die. And I just stopped getting better. And I really wish that I wouldn't have made that dumb decision. Because I feel like I would have been further along and had one more way to express what I want to do, one more skill, whatever it is. I really wish I wouldn't have let that thing die. There are people under the sound of my voice, you're letting stuff die, and you don't need to. You don't need to worry so much about what everyone else thinks. I do want to say one real quick thing too. I know we're about to head out of here pretty soon. Oh, feedback. Be careful the way you guys treat each other, not just in person, but online. I can speak to this personally because I have like 18,000 Instagram followers or something like that. And as I've gotten more, I've realized that some people just don't care about me at all. I don't even know why they follow me. I really don't. I don't know if like I didn't answer a DM because I have too many of them or what was going on, but people will just say like just rude crap sometimes in the comments, and I don't know why they do that. I don't know if they're doing it for attention, if they just like really like we're like I hate you, bro, even though you're trying to impact us positively. I can't stand you. I don't know what it is, but one time my daughter, I have a 2-year-old daughter. Her name's Nadia. She's about to be 3 next month. She fell off a swing and she broke her arm last year. Okay, and it was a minor fracture. Has anyone ever broken their arm? Okay. It's a minor fracture, so she's in the hospital. Take this picture and she's got her cast on. And it's saying just a super, hey guys, please pray for Nadia. Her arm's broken. Da 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 da. Someone was like, oh, all right. Well, let's put this in real context. It was like, oh, we will, this, and someone literally wrote the words, I hope she dies. Now I know that might feel like, oh, that's awkward and funny. As her dad, I don't care how old the kid was. I wanted to kill him. Straight up. All that emotion came out and I'm like, wait, what? Hold up, what are you saying about my baby? And I had to, in that moment, it took me a little while to let that one go, forgive them. But I experienced stuff like that. I know that some of you are experiencing some jacked up stuff. Just treat other people with respect. If you're going to say something crazy, just don't say that. Feel me? Because listen, this is your community. You guys are valuable and you need to treat each other that way. Now, I do want to share something semi-fun with you, all right? So, we're here doing this assembly. We're chilling. But we're going to have a super fun night tonight because you know what's happening tonight? Yeah. You guys know what time? Because I saw flyers. It's at 7. So there's a concert tonight at 7. Say 7 in the auditorium. All right? And listen, tickets are usually $10, but they're 100% free. So all you got to do is go home, get your little after-school snack, whatever you eat. You know what I'm saying? Little corn dog in the microwave. Your ramen noodles with hot sauce in them. That's what I used to eat. I used to eat beef ramen noodles and put some hot sauce in there. Woo! I'm telling you, with a TV tray, it was on. Get your after school snack or stay at school or whatever you got to do and come back here at what time? We just want to show you a real quick clip of some of the, well, this is one show that we did. Go ahead. So at 7 o'clock, that will be going down. We're going to have a whole bunch of lights that some awesome young people help us carry in there already. So a whole bunch of lights, some smoke. It's going to be fun. Does anyone have any questions before we shoot out of here? It could be about anything. It could be about music. It could be for DJ Code and Anyone have any questions about anything? What's up, bro? Biggest artist I ever worked with. Well, as far as like actually having features, there's a dude. So I kind of have this like, I'm in an underground genre. So if you look up my music, if you look up Beacon Light, like you'll find a whole bunch of similar artists that are related to the kind of style I do. But his name's Derek Minor. He's just been like a big mover in like our genre and stuff. So yeah, man. No, I haven't worked with Drake or whatever, but he has some cool samples that says that he's worked with Drake. So if you want to play one of those. Any other questions? What's up? You said what? A rave? Like,
That's not a rave. That was the word. I would never go to that rave that you just did. What?
alright, you play some rave music right now.
I'm not playing no rave
No,
music.
you got a whole library of music, play it. No, I haven't ever been to a rave. Oh, by the way, I have toured way back in the day with NF, if anyone knows who NF is. So, yes. So, there you go.
Boy, got so pumped.
And the guy that I work with,
Connor.
that boy's still hurt. He's still hurt. You know what NF there. They throw on that black hoodie and walk around with my Tim's on. Like, oh, that's right, that's my NF.
That's what he actually said.
So, his producer, Atomic Prophet, is the same dude that I write TV film for. So, like, I go down there and he makes the beat, and then I rap, and then, like, that's the thing with all the UFC thing and all that other stuff. So, there's my big name drop artist. I don't really like to name drop. Man, that monitor is crazy. Any other, what's up? Do all of them have a deeper background? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say all of them. Most of them do. Sometimes when you tour, it's hard because as an independent artist, like I was talking to a label the other day and they were just saying it's hard as an independent artist to create a ton of music and to tour unless you're signed to a major because they take care, a major label is like the people that take care of all the stuff for you. Like they like tons of bread, all that stuff, and you just show up to the studio and just do your thing and then keep touring. But as an independent artist, you have to constantly create. So I create some of my stuff for events like this, which are, like Catch My Vibe is not deep. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's not the point of it. The point of it is just to like make a fun song that hopefully you guys like a little bit and we can just have fun. But then there are songs that are like really deep about like my story or about something behind the scenes. I actually have a song with a video, I think you guys might have seen it, but called Haters. But that one was literally because somebody from a label wrote to me and basically, like, and when you submit to a major record label, there's a whole bunch of stuff that can happen. You can be really good, and it's just not their timing or their budget. You could not fit the vision of what they do, or you could just be like, not ready for that at that point. And this person basically was like, you don't fit the vision of what we're trying to do with this hip hop thing that we're doing. You're good, keep doing what you do. But I got like low-key offended at it. So I like, the whole song that I wrote was basically like, that whole concept of forgiving, like I'm gonna love this dude regardless of whether he's kind of throwing bad vibes at me right now. So some songs have deeper stuff, some songs don't. So anybody else? Question, what's up, bro?
2 questions. First of all, do you know of / like the band Weezer?
Oh, I think I do, because don't they have... Well, I know Weezer. No, I thought you were talking about another band, because there's a band that has a song that's called Beacon Light, which is my stage name, and it's awkward, but I think they're Ween, which is a weird name to be called Ween.
And the second question is for DJ Code. Can we get a little bit more of that Sweet Home Alabama?
Look, okay, listen, brother. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I'm black, brother. We don't do country music. What are you talking about? I'm playing.
You should play that line dance.
I like country music. It's all right. But maybe later. Not now. Absolutely not.
Hey, don't let him lie to you. This dude is actually, you know how we drove through a lot of trees to get where we are? He's from that place too.
Like, my town don't even got a traffic light.
He has real tree boxer briefs on right now. I'm just playing.
I'm straight up. I'm like the whitest black dude y'all ever met. For real. I'm straight up. Well, you get pointed at right there. I see you, brother. Wait.
His real name is Jonathan Hansen.
That's not true.
I'm just playing. That's not his real name. All right, any other questions? What's up?
You got no balls.
I have never met Usher. I haven't. I used to like Usher back then. All right, one more question, and then I'm going to pass it over to your principal. What up, bro? Do I like rock and metal? I do. So here's the thing. I super respect the musicianship, especially in the drumming that goes into some of those styles of music. There's like freaking like 4 kick pedals going on, and it's like going crazy. I'm not a huge fan of screamo, mainly because it scares me just a little bit.
That's very true. Very true. Absolutely.
But there are many styles of rock I like. All right, thanks guys for hanging out. I hope to see you at 7. It was fun.
Are you guys standing up to start dancing? Is that what we're standing up for? Luke? You gonna start dancing? Hey, right now I want everybody to give a big round of applause to Beacon and DJ Code for putting us on today. And for our student council members, if you're a student council, please stand because student council is what brought us this today. So student council is here Mr. Carter, for all your hard work getting this arranged. Now I'm going to tell you tonight, last year when we had Attaboy here, Attaboy came up, they had a nice concert in here. We had about 150 people, 100 people show up for the Attaboy concert and they blew us away. They were fantastic, and from what I understand, Beacon Light is going to be even better. So it's tonight at 7 o'clock, so make sure you're here. One message that I got out of Beacon Light's message today, and I want to make sure you guys understand, don't let other people define who you are. You define who you are. Don't listen to all the naysayers and all the haters that are going to be out there telling you who you should be. So it is 2:25, and here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to apologize, number one, because if you are a person that walks home, or if you are a person that drives home in a car, you get dismissed early today. You get to go home. If you are a bus rider, head to the student center. You guys are waiting for your buses. Do not leave the school if you are riding buses.